Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're another comic episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's, oh no, they say he's got to go, oh no, Godzilla, with me tonight.
Cool sunglass wearing Zillion Red Fox.
And this is Joe Butler, and oh no, summoning monsters, what could go wrong?
And there actually is a song called Godzilla. That's what I was singing part of. If you didn't know that, Rich.
I did.
Okay. Well, I don't think it was part of your stupid song folder back in the day, was it?
No, actually, it wasn't. Should have been.
It's a good song. I only know it because my first job, I was working there at that print shop in the north side of Milwaukee, and then I remember that randomly came on the Sirius XM and my boss had turned up as loud as it could go, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I like rock music.
I'm assuming you had an older guy as a boss, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of older guys, like my dad, for example, were like really into Godzilla.
I am not. But also the song was on one of the Guitar Heroes. I don't remember which one, but it is. I'm pretty sure it's on one of the early ones. So, yeah. All right. We are here to talk about Godzilla versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic miniseries that came out in 2022 in March. Started. So just last year. Didn't even know this was a thing until randomly, I think, Rich was like, there's a Godzilla Power Ranger comic. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I always planned on reading it like a little after it came out, and I just kept pushing it off, but here we are.
And
you know what? I needed another Power Rangers crossover comic to wash off the filth in my mouth from reading that Justice League book. So, this had to happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it weird this is better than the Justice League Power Rangers comic?
Well, you see, when you care about the source material that you're writing about, and you don't have somebody above you going like, fuck those other characters that we got in here, they're lucky to be in the same room as us. You don't have that kind of thing. You can make a really good creative idea, I'm sure.
You know what, not to jump on that topic, but you know what kind of, when I compare and contrast, like say Batman versus TMNT, like how well that went, and both source materials were respected and it was a good story overall, great art. I think what happened with Justice League was that, and Power Rangers combined, was just too many damn characters. Like if they would have focused on maybe 1 to 2 Justice League members or superheroes from DC, it might have fared better. That's all I could think of. I mean,
they could have just went with the 5 Rangers and 5 Justice League members, and it would have been like they didn't have to do what they did. But they also, I felt like they didn't care.
Are you telling me, Rich, that I will one day get a Batman Power Rangers comic? God, I hope so.
Please. I wish I could tell the future, but yeah, please.
I mean, I didn't expect a Godzilla comic with Power Rangers, but it works.
I don't know anything about Godzilla, so...
Don't need to.
Really? Because I don't know what the fuck Zalians are and all this other stuff, all this other goofy stuff.
I've seen more than 5 Godzilla movies and 2 of them in theaters, and I can't tell you who the Zillions are either. So
no, this is jumping back to like the 60s, 70s. So I do have a little bit of foggy history with Godzilla. Again, my dad was a big fan of it. So growing up watching that, and then I get Power Rangers that also do very similar things as far as like big gigantic kaiju fights. Like it was an easier transition for me when Power Rangers did come out because I was already watching Godzilla.
60s and 70s, you say? That explains the weird Zalians design.
That is exactly why the design is that way. Now, I can't tell you like if they were necessarily in those older ones. Maybe they were just inspired by the time frame. But I wouldn't be shocked if they actually were like enemies from some of those original series. And there's been so many like reboots and everything of Godzilla. Who knows? They
weren't in the Godzilla cartoon I used to watch as a kid on Cartoon Network. I can tell you that.
I Googled it. Apparently they are in Invasion of Astro Monsters, Godzilla Islands, Godzilla Final Wars, and something called Gozaban. But they're in pretty much every Godzilla comic, apparently. And when I scrolled down and look, they pretty much keep the same design that they use for this comic, which is interesting.
That's cool. But again, like that's called respecting your brands. So, like right away, when I first saw this first cover in #1, you have Godzilla on the cover, you have the Rangers, well, a couple of them, and you have the Dragon Zord in the back, and the art style is what got me right away. I'm like, okay, this is going to be different because like they are drawn very differently than what we've seen previously, and that's fine.
You know what this art style kind of looks like to me, like a '90s Double Dragon cartoon aesthetic.
Yeah.
Which isn't horrible to me. It's actually kind of nostalgic.
At least there's no dumb characters with hooks for hands, whatever the hell they did in that terrible Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. So.
Double Dragon or Dungeons and Dragons?
Double Dragon. I didn't watch. I did watch Dungeons and Dragons, but Double Dragon is what I meant to say. I watched both when I was a kid. It's just very standout. I mean, like even on the cover, they kind of like made it so you can see the boobs more on Kimberly, and like they just really like stuff is more shown, kind of like in the drawings.
The human features are a little more exaggerated.
Yeah, and that was fine. I mean, in the first page of this, you see Rita and you see dead guys with blood on their face. Rita killed a bunch of monks, and I'm like, all right, we're getting a more adult comic here. And also, Rita has giant boobs for some reason too. But hey, whatever.
Oh, that's what she wears in the original show.
They just seem like they're popping out more than what I remember.
Watch that original show. They're pretty pointy, buddy.
I want to say like originally in the American version, they try not to show it that often, but in the Japanese version, you can definitely see it.
Well, boobs are bad for kids. It's okay if American kids watch people get murdered. That's okay, but no boobs. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's America for you.
As long as you filter the word kill to like destroy or defeat, it's fine.
He fell in a hole. He's okay. He was just defeated.
Like you faint in Pokemon.
Yeah, they just fainted when you hit them with a hyper beam and they're level 2 Rattata. Yes, they just fainted. You didn't obliterate every piece of that Rattata? Nope, not at all. But I mean, it got my attention right away just seeing that and having the Green Ranger like hunting them down as they're sneaking into a tomb, and you got Scorpina's back. So.
Also, you want to talk about over exaggerated, man? That Tommy introduction, he is buff as fuck.
Yes, he is. I mean, that's just the whole comic. Everything is exaggerated in this. And it
like
works.
The size of everything that's going to be fighting in this, it's exaggerated.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. Like, I thought it was cool. I like this idea of her trying to find this, like, jewel that will let them go to different dimensions, and that's the whole purpose of what she's doing, and Tommy tries to stop her, and then she warps them to a dimension that doesn't have the power ring. I think that's a cool concept.
I don't mind it. I bought it. The only thing I didn't like is Tommy going off on his own. Thought that was kind of reckless.
Isn't that... As a guy who doesn't know a lot of Power Rangers, that feels like a Tommy thing to me, but then again, I'm not a big Power Ranger guy.
Maybe not so much, unless when he was out as a human, he saw something going on and he followed the trail or something like that, maybe, but other than that, he kind of jumping the gun here.
He's not like Raphael?
Nah, he's not at all.
Okay.
If I had a nickel for every time we've read a Power Rangers comic and Tommy ran off and did his own thing, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's happened every comic we've read.
Did he do it in the Justice League one?
I don't remember.
No, that was the Black
Not
Ranger.
that one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
It's
do 2.
TMNT.
Got 2 then.
I'd have 2 nickels.
It's kind of funny they do that.
Well, at least his motivations were deeper in the TMNT crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was just, we gotta stop Rita!
Mm-hmm. Well, let me not work for my friends.
This one was just so we can have the opening of the fucking Dragon Zord fighting Godzilla, because that's exactly what they wanted.
That's exactly what, because, I mean, realistically, the Dragon Zord is a spin on Godzilla anyway. It comes out of the water, it screams like Godzilla's huge fucking reptile. Yeah, same thing.
I just had one of those moments where things you learn, or however that meme goes, or that saying. How old were you when you learned this? I was 36.
I was 8 years old.
Yes, I never put that together. The amount of times I watched Power Rangers and Godzilla, I've never put that together.
Really? It's like one of the first, as a kid, I was like, holy shit, this is like a robot Godzilla.
Yeah, you think Kid Mike would have put that together, but no. I was today years old. Just cool. I mean, I liked it just seeing Godzilla fighting some fighting some monster that I did not recognize, which surprised me a little bit because I know some Godzilla stuff because I used to have toys.
I don't know that monster. There's a couple I do know in here.
There were some I knew. But I also watched the 2 newer Godzilla movies that came out, or the 3 of them. There's the 2 of them by themselves, and then there's the Godzilla vs. King Kong. I watched those.
They have a show out now, too.
Oh. They
just came out on Apple TV.
Oh, that's
why.
That's Apple. I don't like Apple products. I mean, it's cool seeing here. Like you get to see the Xylans right away, and then they teleport Rita up in a group where they go into the ship and they just start beating the shit out. I mean, Goldar just starts killing people, which it's Goldar.
Yeah,
he kind of tries to
establish. He kind of is.
And then it's right after this when you first see all the Rangers in human form, and yeah, man, they are just like buffed up in this. comic.
Absolutely. This right here, the human forms outside of their suits, really reminded me of that Double Dragon aesthetic.
Okay, that's fair. And does Zach even talk in this comic?
Good thing you brought that up because I have no idea.
I don't think he does.
I don't think so. To be fair, I don't think Trini talks this whole comic either. So
yeah, Trini. I actually remember Trini talking more than Zach. So Zach, all I remember, well, I'm sure we'll cover as we go. But all I remember is Mammoth Shield, and then that's about it.
For the record, I also didn't know that was a thing.
The Mammoth Shield?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it wasn't primarily used in the show, but it was a thing.
Okay.
You gotta
I'm glad, Josie.
toys.
I'm not alone.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I believe it though, because you gotta sell the toys, Mike. Gotta have a Mammoth Shield and a bunch of other goofy shit.
Hey, as a guy who went to a toy swap today at the time of this recording and went and saw a table full of Power Ranger Zords. Yeah. I mean, there were a ton on that table. I took a picture and sent it to you guys, and I know Rich, he's missing a few. But, he had a ton of them. I mean, I was like, damn, I think he had to be over 30 of them in that picture. Something like that, but yeah, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I didn't buy any out, of course, because I don't care about Zords. There's only one Zord I care about. He didn't have the Megazord, nor do I care enough about it, but it's just cool to see. And then this is when you have Rita teaming up with the Xylans, and because she don't care about the planet, they want the natural resources. So I like it that, she just wants to kill everybody, I guess. Take over the world.
Well, that's what she wants to do to multiple dimensions and worlds and everything. So that's why she was going for the, what do you call it? The focus, that stone she's using, the focus.
The MacGuffin?
Sure.
I don't remember the name.
Multiversal focus.
Okay.
That she ends up putting in her staff, and that's what allows her and everyone else to transport to a different dimension.
Okay.
So her whole goal is dimensional conquest. Because she can't seem to figure out one world, so why not just go take other dimensions, I guess. And, her motivations align with the Zillions, who, as you said, are trying to take over the planet for resources.
And I think this is when they start... Oh, yeah, then she tries to control Godzilla, which I thought is cool, too. She tries to take him over, and she can't.
Well, you got to think. So any gigantic monster she's ever seen, in most cases, she controls it anyway. So kind of a power trip there for her, and misunderstanding for her at the same time.
I do love how Tommy's like, oh, look at this giant monster. It must be a Rita monster, and summons his Dragon Zord.
Makes sense.
It does. I forgot how cool that fucking thing is, though, too.
Dragon Zord?
Yeah.
It's real nice how they make it pop here out of the water. Looks pretty nice.
It's weird. Comes out of the water just like Godzilla, huh?
So did he summon his Dragon Zord, or did he summon a Dragon Zord from the planet that belongs to this universe?
I think it's... So Zords, or the Morphin grid in general, is universal. It exists in every universe. So I think that Zord is going to be his same one from just the Morphin grid showing up.
Okay.
It's the way I kind of...
Because that's kind of what the comics talk about, too, isn't it? Like
that's kind of where they're going with it, yeah.
I mean, this isn't canon to any of the comic stuff. It's just a side story.
I mean, could it be and make sense? Sure, I suppose it could, but no, it's not.
I did find it interesting how the Dragon Zord lasts like 2 pages in the fight against Godzilla and gets his ass beat.
Oh yeah, he gets fucked up pretty fast.
I thought that was pretty good. He just destroys the thing and he picks it up and just body slams it. Like, that was cool.
He breaks it like Bane breaking Batman fucking back.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I really need to read Nightfall one day.
Yeah.
Reminded me of that. Thank you. Oh, so I have a big question. This was a turn off at first. What did you think about seeing their eyes through the visors?
I think it's cool.
I've seen it in other iterations. It does happen in the Boom Studios comics, so it's not something that I'm unused to.
Oh, okay. It was first time I saw it, and I didn't like it at first. But then, as I read more of this, I got okay with it.
Yeah, you tend to get used to it.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And then the last page of this comic, after he breaks its back, is you see all the Power Rangers show up, the rest of them, and they do the correct thing. They get their Zords out immediately.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to fight this
normal.
They're not going to fight these things with their fists. I mean, it's Godzilla.
I know, but it could never be a cartoon episode because you have to first you got to fight a little bit, then they get big, then you got to fight, then you summon the Zord, then the Megazord. That's how it goes.
Yes.
There you go.
It's been a long time since I watched a cartoon, and I'm pretty sure if I try, it will not end well.
No, I mean, if you watch the first season and don't focus on it entirely, you might be fine. That's as far as you're probably going to get.
Well, that's the only one I have nostalgic for, so.
Right.
And that brings us to issue 2. Issue 2 cover doesn't really pop out to me that much.
Well, especially that goofy ass Zillion they have standing there that they don't really, other than the commander, they don't really point anyone out.
And they all wear, none of them take off their helmets. It looks a lot like Rita, too.
She looks a lot more menacing, like she's going to be a big player, and it's just like, no, we're going to watch everything, every dumb move that Rita does and complain.
I did appreciate that in this issue, they summon the Megazord, like, immediately. They don't try to fight with the Zords.
Well, that is one thing that I did like about the comic, is that I've never seen, let's say, an entire arc that takes place primarily in Zords. And this is that arc. And I will probably, as far as I'm aware, we'll never see that again.
No, probably not. So, for some reason, in this panel where you see the Megazord punching Godzilla, I get huge Live vibes from that.
Oh, God, really?
It reminded me of that robot in Live that you get in Akira's.
I never would have connected the two, but I guess you're not wrong.
It's just this one panel where he first punches him. For some reason, that panel gave me Live vibes.
One day I'll play that.
I'll give you an excuse to next year if you want one. So
that's a good excuse.
Okay. Because I need to play the Switch one because I should.
It's also on Steam.
Yeah. It hasn't hit my price range yet. But yes, it's on my wish list. I do really want to replay it again. But no, I like the Megazord shows up and like they just start fighting and they kind of hold their own at first. They don't get beat as quick as the Dragonzord did.
Yeah, they don't get stomped right away.
And you do see something you don't normally see, I felt. Goldar attacks Tommy and like pretty much just grabs him and, captures him.
There is a one-on-one fight in the show initially, too.
Oh.
Even without his powers, actually.
And I take it Tommy held his own?
Best he could, yeah.
Goldar's a fucking monster.
Mm-hmm. They actually go a little bit into his origins in Boom, too. You can see some of his past and why he's like that.
Keep making me want to read Boom.
Well, maybe you got to do it, buddy.
But then TMT.
I don't tell you.
One has Leatherhead, one doesn't. So there's that.
They got to have an alligator monster somewhere.
I'm sure they do, but he doesn't. He wasn't on a train at one point in a video game that I played as a kid, so loses points for that. And then they summon the Megazord, or not Megazord, the sword pretty quick, the Power Sword, which
usually means that's it. When that comes down, it's shining from the heavens like that. It drops down from the sky. And it shines, and then they like one swing, and the mob is dead. Not this case. They do mess them up though, pretty bad actually.
Yeah, they hurt them from just with a sword, and then because they shows them fighting, then they get attacked. Both him and the Megazord and Godzilla get attacked by the zillion little alien spaceships. So they take advantage of them being down, which is kind of cool. And you see Tommy all bleeding too and beat up from fighting Goldar.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Goldar shouldn't have been able to take him, but it's fine.
I mean, you got the whole squad there, so who knows what else kind of went down there.
And then you see, Godzilla goes in the water to run away, and then they deactivate the Zords. Oh, yeah, because they're trying to get away and escape. And so
Well, one important thing to note is that, and this will come in play later, the Zords auto-repair.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So the only thing that made sense to me is that they go back to the grid, and then they kind of repower and repair, and, kind of on their own, just based on that power. I kind of would figure that's what's going on here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's never really explained. This is probably the most explanation we get. I mean, as far as I remember in the show, and maybe even some of the comic, they kind of modify and repair the Zords here and there manually. But for some of the damage that they actually end up enduring, I can't see like a human like Billy just fixing all that shit. And especially in like by the next day they're good to go. So they got to have something like a Morphin grid to probably repair a lot of that.
Okay. And then when they go away, like they teleport away, don't they? Essentially back in the Morphin grid.
Yeah.
When they port, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And then that's what you have here. Then I did find it made complete sense that the Rangers, once they land, they morph back to their regular people and get rid of their suits so they can blend in. Now, and Trini does have a line right here. She talks.
Oh.
So does Zach. So they get a few lines.
I do. I know. I don't know a lot about Godzilla. I know Godzilla's kind of one of those things where they do play fast and loose with his lore. Because one thing I was thinking when reading this, I was like, isn't Godzilla sometimes like protecting Earth, or sometimes he isn't? Like I know that Shin Godzilla 1, he's like a weird alien creature, but they basically explain it where it's like, well, Godzilla lives here too. Of course he's going to defend us, but we just kind of don't mess with him, otherwise he'll whoop our ass too.
Godzilla protects Earth in most iterations besides the very early stuff.
Yeah.
He's usually not ever seen as an evil character. He's usually just fighting different monsters that are around.
Well, one thing you got to understand about Godzilla in general, even in the first movie, because I did watch that, he's an animal. He's an animal that was affected by radiation and grew to the size that he did. So he, in most cases, doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. He's just coming out of the water, causing all this destruction and chaos. But it's through like neutrality. There's no evil or goodness behind his actions for the most part. As the series goes on, and he just decides to fight those other monsters, then he's much more inclined to be a protector. And in this case, he's kind of in between the roles, because as you see way later on, who he ends up attacking, even though things have calmed down. Mm-hmm. And that's his animalistic nature.
That makes sense. I'm just trying to think what the newer movie did, because that was canon at one point. I mean, that was that was the American version, too. Those are American movies.
I wish I could remember them as good, but I want to say they're pretty much along the lines of some of the stuff you see here.
Yeah, they're good movies, though.
Yeah, decent enough.
And then the Rangers end up stealing one of the zillion ships, and I did find that amusing, and fly up to the main ship and start fighting. I like how they're about to rescue Tommy, but people are in danger, so then they leave to go and leave Tommy to his own devices. Again, makes sense, because, needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one.
Right, and they figure he can kind of fend off by himself best he can.
And that monster that they do summon, I forget if they say its name. Oh yeah, Gigan. I know that one. I had a toy of that one when I was a kid.
That one I do remember as a kid.
They just you just see Tommy getting tortured all the time too. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like we said, I think before we even started talking or recording, like he's taken somewhat of a backseat in this comic, and I'm not against it, because as much as I love the character and everything like along those lines, like. It's nice to kind of see the original 5 kind of get some more shine in there.
Because how soon does the Green Ranger show up in the original series?
It doesn't take too long. I mean, as a kid, it seemed like forever, because obviously it was week to week. You get to watch it that way. It seemed like forever at that time, but I'd say probably a quarter or more throughout the series, then he starts showing up.
Okay. I don't remember a whole lot. I just remember that wasn't like a 2-part or something that was like a big deal.
It's like a 3-parter, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Green with Evil. And actually, if I'm being quite honest, like if you want to go back and watch anything of the first season, maybe watch a little bit of when they become the Rangers and then the Green with Evil storyline, and that's really all you need. Like, because when I rewatched Green with Evil again as an adult, I was like, holy shit, this is still good TV. Like, this is great writing.
That's surprising to say, considering how that show is.
Well, that's just how good that arc was. And like, even as kids, we knew that was some like magical shit happening on our screens. Like, it was like, even adults can appreciate that.
The only thing I can compare to it, which is my favorite child moment, is I remember coming home from school and me and my sister would watch Dragon Ball Z, and I remember going to the bathroom and hearing my sister scream because Goku turned Super Saiyan for the first time, and like I vaulted over our couch because of how excited I was.
Good times.
Yeah.
It's episode 17 of the season 1 when he first shows up.
God damn.
And it's not a 3-part. It is a 5-part.
5. Holy hell.
That's a lot of fucking episodes.
Worth it.
That makes sense, because I want to say maybe the second or third episode's the one where they're like, oh, let's fight the Green Ranger, and he like teleports into their mech, and they're like, he's like whooping their ass.
I remember that.
I remember that as a kid, because it's so terrifying that he teleports in there and you hear "Go Green Ranger" and like his like badass fucking theme songs on.
He's got his own damn theme song.
Yeah. And there are 60 episodes of the first season of Power Rangers.
How many?
60.
So not even a quarter in.
God, that's a lot.
Nearly a quarter in.
That's a lot of fucking episodes. Man, no wonder they were upset. They're getting shit paid and they're working that much.
Mm-hmm. And listening to the other episode that Mike posted, I do remember them going on, like, they went on world tours, they were doing shows in Mall of America, and I'm pretty sure they probably even did their own stunts too. They probably had them run back there and put costumes on and run back out.
Yeah, I still remember there was a thing, like, I think in Cali it was, to where they had this big ass event where the Rangers were in their suits. I think they were in their suits the entire time. And they were doing like all this like martial arts stuff, talking to the crowd. And from what I read is that there was like so many people trying to go to this thing that they backed up traffic for like miles.
That's fucking crazy.
I don't think that's hard in California from what I've heard, but yes.
Yeah, but even worse.
I mean, they were huge at the time.
They were like mega rock stars, like insane.
that also goes from us stealing stuff from Japan too, because Japan they still do that to this day in Japan, where they have like after the shows end, they have like stage plays, and that even goes further on where they'll introduce like new villains and like extend the ending a little bit, and they'll play like the openings, and they'll have like the characters run around and then have them switch suits and stuff like that.
Didn't know that. Now, in Japan, is the Sentai more interconnected? Does the story continue on for the most part?
No.
Oh.
Like all the for the Japanese Super Sentai, all the shows take place in different universes, and they always do something. Somehow it always ends up managing happening where they have movies that usually connect or something like that. But they do have like an event, which I think is really cool, is they'll have something called like the Baton Pass, where they'll have like last year's Red Ranger and this year's Red Ranger, like, and they'll have the team like talking to each other kind of like in character, and then they'll basically do like a baton pass and shake hands and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's in the same vein as our crossover shows here, because we obviously still do that, like Forever Red and everything like that.
Yeah, basically. But they have like a whole event, like it's on the news and everything too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Don't happen here.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then when gigging comes, first I see they try fighting it with their regular Dinozords, and then they go Megazord, of course. And I like how they actually are about to beat him, and then Rita summons two of her monsters. I did not recognize the Rhino guy, Rhino Blaster, but I definitely recognize Eye Guy. I like
the Rhino. That both of them are in the original first season.
Okay, I had a toy of Eye Guy.
I actually had toys of both of those.
I still like Eye Guy.
I didn't get that.
Oh, thanks, Siri.
She didn't get that. She doesn't get why I like Eye Guy. Come on, Siri. How can you not understand?
She can't see why you like Eye Guy.
Guys.
This actually worked out. That brings us to issue 3. This is a cool cover with Megazord, Godzilla on the cover, and then a bunch of like just monsters in the background. I like this cover. This would have got my attention in a comic book store.
Yeah, so funny enough, I talked to y'all about it earlier. I'm reading this on my Kindle, and I still have comics, which I won't have to worry about because it's like, oh, it's like $5 a month, and it's like, oh, I can afford that. That's not bad. And then I opened the app the other day on Friday to start reading this, and it's like, hey, do you know we're getting rid of comics, but you can still read all the shit that you bought on Kindle? And it's like, oh, cool. That's pretty lame.
Wow. There's other ways, Joe, to read that on your Kindle. With the internet access, there are other ways.
Yeah, but they had this really convenient thing where like you can double click on the comic and it'll let you read it like panel by panel, and it's actually edited. That
is more convenient than the way I read it. Plus,
well, he's watching it in a handheld kind of way, which is way he's doing is probably the best way.
Yeah, I mean, but his doesn't come with ads of girls that want to meet you that are nearby right now. So
exactly. I mean, when you're doing a handheld kind of system like he's doing, it's hard to get rid of those ads too.
He might be like, "What are you doing, Joe? I'm reading a comic. Damn it, leave me alone." Yeah, no, my tablet, I don't have ad block on it. It's I'm very sometimes. Yeah, it likes to. I also make sure the volume's down at all times, especially when I've read in public before, because it's like I don't need it to also start playing an ad. So.
Especially those horny ads you just brought up too.
Oh yeah, I remember being at a restaurant and my wife, we were playing bingo, her and her friends, and I'm just sitting there reading comics because what else you can do it when people are playing bingo? Come on, and yeah, I had volume off for reasons because I did not need that to happen. Because porno ads did pop up. I'm like, click, click, get out of here. I'm like,
it's ad blocker, buddy. That's all you need.
I know. I don't. I need to get it for the Silk browser on my tablet, but I just never done it. I looked once. It didn't look that hard. Probably should just get a different browser and I'd be fine. But
yeah.
But, that's neither here nor there. But issue 3 starts off cool, where you see the Megazord is fighting the 3 of them, and they're kind of holding their own at first, even though they're
doing what they can. But it's only a matter of time before that's going to catch up.
Yeah, because they get beat up pretty quickly. Rita's telling Tommy she's going to control him again and throws him in a cell. Oh, and then this is when you get the really cool scene of a 2-page spread of Scorpina leading a bunch of monsters. And I recognize a couple of these. I recognize the skeleton with the top hat and the feather. I recognize the Pharaoh guy in the top.
The Sphinx, that's Bones right down there. The Minotaur is also from the first season.
The top left is Rodon from Godzilla.
Yeah, you're right. That one way in the back is similar to a Space Godzilla.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually have a figure of that damn thing. I don't know the exact name of it.
Is that from Power Rangers or Godzilla?
No, that's Godzilla.
Okay, and that, I think, yeah, I like how and I recognize the Toad monster in here. I don't remember its name, but it eats the Rangers in the episode it's in.
Is that weird skeleton thing one of y'all like?
I had a toy of that. I think I gave to Rich last time I was in town.
I'm pretty sure I still have it somewhere.
The Dragon Zord's dead on the ground.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Shouldn't the Dragon Zord morph back to the morphing grid?
That's the point.
Yeah, I don't know the logic behind that one.
It doesn't matter. It is relevant. I was just like, But no, all that I thought was, and again, I have to say, it's paying respect to both franchises. You have Power Ranger villains, you have Godzilla villains. You're respecting both franchises.
You also have like the Power Rangers getting their shit kicked in too.
Yeah, almost literally here. Like, what's I found funny is that the monsters don't know how to shut the hell up in the Power Ranger world, and they're wondering why like Gigan doesn't say a damn word. He just wants to kill.
I thought that was hilarious. Like they almost get their ass, like they're getting their ass beat. They're about to get the ripped out of the frickin' Megazord when Godzilla finally shows up and starts taking everybody out. I don't know. Seeing Godzilla tackling Eye Guy is just a really cool panel for some reason. But even Godzilla starts getting his ass handed to him, like because he just can't handle the three of them. And I like this idea that they use the power sword to recharge him, I guess. But even though they just used the power sword to hurt him earlier in the comic,
well, they stabbed him. In this case, they're actually just using the energy from it.
Okay, never mind. That makes sense. And I thought that was cool.
He does power up from like electricity. Like I think even in I don't know if it was it might have not been the first movie, but in other iterations that I've seen him in, it might have been in the more modern ones. It's where he gets powered up by like electrical lines and electrical towers, things like that.
Vaguely remember this from watching Godzilla over the years.
I rewatched the newer movies recently because I wanted to get ready for Godzilla vs. King Kong, which I still haven't seen yet.
Good movie.
I know I need to rewatch all of them, but I think they do that in the new Godzilla one where he fights like the Muto or whatever, the original monsters they created for him to fight because they didn't want to use any other monsters before they got to the later movies.
Yeah,
weird,
I think
ugly bug things in the first one.
Yeah. I think they did do that maybe in that movie.
Yeah, those weird bug things that they got.
My god!
The female's bigger than the male, and they're trying to stop it from like laying eggs and stuff like that. Whatever the plot for that fucking movie was.
I can't remember. I just remember I saw that movie in theaters. That's all I remember.
I did too. It was really good.
That's what I thought.
Well, that came out back in was it 2014? It's been almost 10 years. I can barely remember it.
So when are we getting a Godzilla Power Ranger movie? Come on now.
Oh, yeah, that's what people are just vying for.
That's what I'm vying for now, but yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it. Don't get me wrong.
And then you have Rita transform Scorpina for some reason into an ugly, ugly, ugly monster, and then
that is show accurate.
That is
in the show.
I was specifically waiting for this podcast to ask Rich that. I'm like, is that part of the show? Because I don't remember that.
Guys, I kind of knew somebody might have brought it up, so I got a pic ready for you to take a look at directly from the show.
You should put this in one of the chats so I can see it now because I'm very curious. I don't even remember Scorpina still in the show. But
well, you watch that first season, you'll see it.
Okay.
Huh. Weird.
That's cool. Okay. You know what? Bravo, comic. Bravo for paying more respect to the source material. Bravo. Okay, that made it cooler. I was like, why did you make the sexy lady ugly? Why? But
yep.
Okay.
When I actually forgot about it, and I was like, you know what? I kind of fucking remember that as a kid. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a thing. So I looked it up, and I was like, oh, there she is. And I had to show you guys.
No, that's cool. I mean, I like this, how, Godzilla attacks the Megazord, and then they team up together to fight and then the last panel is Scorpina with a bunch of like bug monsters that I'm assuming Rita and them made that are attacking.
There is one complaint I have about this comic, and I will get towards the end. And it's not the comic's fault. It's just my own personal goddamn.
So this fourth issue, the cover, this got me excited. So on the cover, you see a little Megazord, little Godzilla, and giant King Ghidorah. And I was just like, you have my attention, sir. Have my attention.
One of the coolest monsters as a kid for me. Throughout, obviously for the age I grew up on a lot more of the 90s Godzilla. I thought it was way more menacing and vicious looking than a lot of that goofy 70s shit. Even Godzilla also had a son called Godzuki, which was embarrassing.
I like Godzuki.
Do you? Of course.
I did when I was a kid. I thought the cartoon was cute when I was a kid. I remember enjoying it.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey,
well, here's the thing. I didn't watch much of the cartoon show because I thought it was corny as hell compared to the 90s gritty Godzilla that I was used to. But I'm also talking about the Godzuki that came in that little person in a suit. like live action Godzuki.
I know what you're talking about.
It was horrendous even as a kid. I was like, wow, how did this pass?
Well, easily it was the 70s.
Yeah.
A lot of drugs were had, so
Well, and also it was from Japan, so
It was the best we were gonna get
I guess
at the
so.
time.
I've seen the movies with Godzuki before. 'Cause I had a roommate that was really big into not Power Rangers, Godzilla, and every so often she'd watch them. So I have seen him in passing. Godzuki. But yes, it's stupid as hell. But I just remember the cartoon. I really liked the cartoon as a kid.
But
I'm sure.
either way, King Ghidorah, like one of the coolest designs from Godzilla.
Same. I was excited that they put him in this comic, and just seeing like you get a few panels and pages of Godzilla and the Megazord just beating the shit out of the villains, and even Scorpina. Like, okay, time to go. And this runs off. I thought that was all really good until Rita finally summons King Ghidorah, being an idiot, thinking she can control him. The Xylans are like, you can't control King Ghidorah.
They can't. Well, they technically aren't really able to control any of them. The only one that was even close was Gigan, according to them.
Well, Mecha Godzilla, but he's not in this.
Yeah, I suppose.
He's just a robot controlled by guys, if I remember correctly. Or he's a robot that's an AI that goes crazy. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
I liked Mecha Godzilla too when I was a kid. I thought he was
Mecha
cool.
Godzilla was cool as hell back then.
I had a figure of him. I remember that. A small
Same.
one.
You know, they had a Mecha Ghidorah kind of thing going on.
Oh, I don't think I remember
Like
that.
semi-mechanical.
That's cool. Huh. Maybe I did know about it. It's been a long time since I was into Godzilla.
Godzilla's weird.
It is. But yeah, when King Ghidorah shows up and just seeing him he just kind of, like, there's a panel of him just like he carries the Megazord and just drops it in the ocean.
Well, as big as that damn thing is, I'm not that surprised.
No. And this is when Tommy finally escapes from the Zillions, is during this issue, while Godzilla and Megazord are getting beat up by King Ghidorah 3 heads.
I also think it's funny that they give him all his stuff back because they're like, we need to get the fuck out of here. So here's your shit back so we can get out of here.
Yeah, go cause a distraction so we can leave, because King Ghidorah is also attacking them too. It's attacking the Xylan's little spaceship. So
yep.
And here's another part that I appreciated when Scorpina and Goldar go down and attack, and they bring a couple monsters with them. I recognized two of the three. I recognized the Bumblebee guy, the yellow jacket, and I recognized that cool ass lizard guy.
The snake, I don't recognize the blue one either.
Okay, I didn't recognize the turtle, or not turtle, but the hammerhead shark.
Yeah, I don't really recognize it.
I'm assuming it's from early stuff, because that Bumblebee had a toy, and I had it, so it was from the early stuff.
I wanted the toy, and I never got it. Thanks, parents.
I had the Bumblebee one and the snake one, I'm pretty sure. I must have been really into Power Rangers that first year too, like everybody else.
I mean, we were the age range, man. That was directly for us.
I just don't remember it at all. Like, I don't remember really being that big of a Ranger fan. I think it really was just 1 year for me, and then I just was done.
Oh yeah, I never stopped.
I know that.
Yeah, it's just those first 3 years, man. I followed it religiously. Well, shit, even after Zeo, I did too.
Still do.
Somewhat, yeah. I don't watch.
You just don't watch the show, but
yeah, as much as I want to, they get the whole new season on Netflix, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do it.
Have you watched Once and Always yet?
Yeah, I saw that right when it came out.
Once and Always made me cry like really, really hard.
Yeah.
Like I was like, it wasn't so bad, and then the ending happened, and I just started sobbing uncontrollably.
We should probably cover that movie. Actually,
I do want to.
Yeah.
I want to cover the other 2 movies also that we haven't covered that came out for Power Rangers.
You could do them all in order. It's fine.
Yeah, but then I got to watch the next one.
Turbo.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I like Turbo.
Turbo's great until you get to that goddamn wizard.
But I've never seen it, so I'm curious. But
you'll know.
Okay. Oh, and then you have then the last panel of this, or the last page, is you see Rita and her goons fighting King Ghidorah, and that's where this issue ends, and that brings us to the last issue.
Love that cover.
A lot of these covers are pretty good. This is cool.
Or wait, am I on 5? No, I skipped ahead. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no. 5's cover is where King Ghidorah on the right side, Megazord, Godzilla, and the Dragonzord on the left side.
Yep.
That is a fucking poster cover right there.
Actually, that is something I would put on my wall. It's actually a really cool ass cover.
Just take away the words in the top and just have. I'd be better with it. I just want, it's just so fucking cool.
They actually, at the end of the comic, they have it without the words.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe.
Go Google the Wikipedia thing, and you'll probably be able to find all the covers without the words on them.
That's cool.
Because
go ahead.
say the one I have, because I read the anthology on the comic app. There's that cover, and the other cover is like it's like half Dragon Zord, half Godzilla, and they're like fighting. It looks like they're kind of fighting, and then it has all the Rangers in the middle with Tommy playing the flute.
That's pretty damn cool.
They made some cool ass covers for this little miniseries. And then I guess what it takes one page for those monsters to be destroyed by King Ghidorah, and for Scorpina and Goldar to run away. Freaking one page. And this is finally when the Dragon Zord shows up, and then the Dragon Zord and the Megazord are fighting King Ghidorah. Then Godzilla shows up, and they're all fighting together. So I forgot. I know this must have been in the show, but I don't remember it very well, that the Dragon Zord could morph into the Megazord.
I'm ahead of you, buddy. So I know you guys are probably going to bring that up too. I had a pick ready for that one. There's not that many good ones online, but here you go.
It didn't happen a lot, did it?
Wasn't too often. And they had a different battle mode to where the Dragon Zord was more prominent in the combination.
Because if I remember correctly, the toys could do this too. Like if you had both toys, you could put them together.
You could, yes.
It's not something I see very often. So I was kind of like, this is cool. I'm glad they did it.
There's one thing, like in Boom, you'll see combinations that have fans, like long-term fans like us, for example. It's like, holy shit, I can't believe they did that merge or that combination. Like these fantasy Zord merges, because technically speaking, any Zord, doesn't matter what Power Ranger it belongs to or what like set it belongs to, they can combine, at least in the comics or in the canon, they can combine.
Mm-hmm.
That's damn cool.
So you're going to see a lot of that in Boom, and so you guys know this one was actually, at least this one was actually straight from the show.
Okay. I thought it was. I also know, like, when does the Brachiosaur thing show up?
What the hell's his name even? But that's a little bit later on. That's like after, around the time, or I want to say around the same time, Tommy loses his dragon shield for the short time.
Okay.
I want to say that's when they get the Brachiosaurus.
I remember it, and I know it can morph into the Dragon Zord, which I forgot, but today when I was at the toy swap, there was a Funko Pop that I took a picture of but didn't save the picture to send to you guys, that it was a Funko Pop of those two combined. Some guy was selling. It ain't small.
I always want, Titanus, that's his name.
Oh, okay.
I always wanted that toy too, but I never even got the original Zord, so that was out of the question.
You haven't done it yet as an adult?
Oh, I'm not going to do it now.
Oh, okay.
I definitely could, but no, I'm not that crazy about it. I have maybe one or two versions of the original Megazord, and that's it. I have a White Tiger Zord. I think I got a couple things, but decided to hit the brakes before I go too crazy with that stuff.
Part of being an adult.
I do have an original from the 90s Dragon Zord, though.
Yeah, the one that I gave you, too.
And then that, too, yes.
The beat-up one from when I was a kid.
Yeah, so technically I got two, I guess.
Because you got one in a box, right?
It is not in the box, no.
Oh, okay.
So, with everything that happens in this comic, complete missed opportunity for Godzilla to wear either the Dragon Zord or the Megazord as armor.
Oh, man, you know what? I would have loved to see that Dragon Zord combined with Godzilla. I didn't even think about it.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that was my only issue with this whole comic. I was like, I guarantee you that, because usually the covers tease it. I'm like, well, maybe it'll be happening anyways, but no, that's complete missed opportunity.
Yeah, well, I guess because he's organic, and that's something they don't usually practice. I don't even think in Boom they've done that, but I don't give a shit how practical it is. I'd want to see it.
Okay, that would be cool. I won't argue with that.
Or at least let's combine them with Mechagodzilla. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if we get another one down the road.
I doubt we will, but it's still early, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against it if it happens. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If they, for some reason, decided, yep, this is what we're doing, I'd be like, I'm all for it. Oh, and then to kind of finish up this issue, you have, so pretty much after they combine together, both them and Godzilla hit King Ghidorah, and they're finally able to beat King Ghidorah, and then Godzilla then turns his attention and goes after them because they're the next biggest threat.
Yep, that's an animalistic, that primal instinct just coming out, and then the Rangers are like, hey, Zoran, fuck this, let's go.
I really got a kick out of those islands. They're like, okay, we're going to return. All of a sudden, you could just pretty much tell they got squished.
Yeah. No, they got burned.
Oh, yeah, they got shot by the beam, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
The breath. So this I had to ask you about. So after this, Rita ends up breaking the crystal to warp back to whatever world. And they show Rita like falling, and they show a bunch of different worlds in Godzilla and Power Rangers. Is that Lord Dakin in one of them on the left side?
Lord Draken, yes.
Draken. Okay. I know that's a big deal in the comics, right?
Yes.
I know we talked
He's
about
an
it before.
extremely big deal. He's the first big arc of Boom.
I
The-
definitely do.
Probably, well, I know for a fact he's the most popular thing to come out of the Boom comics, other than, like, let's say Ranger Slayer and the Omega Rangers.
Yeah, hands down, probably my favorite like Power Ranger design ever to come out. But
He's
just
cool as hell, and he actually changes throughout that arc too, like his outfit. So you see this base one as his first one. He has at least, I want to say, 2 different forms.
my God.
Okay, that's pretty damn cool. All right, that's what I thought it was. I didn't really recognize. I'm pretty sure one of them looked like the Godzilla from the cartoon with Godzuki.
That is the 70s whatever version of Godzilla there. Then you got the
Okay.
Dino Charge Rangers. I don't know what other form of Godzilla that is. It looks freaky as fuck. That looks like the
Yeah.
90s one after that. Further down, then you got what seems to be, I think, RPM Rangers down at the bottom.
What is RPM Rangers?
I think that's the season where Disney had it.
Oh,
I think so too. Yeah.
that didn't last long.
No, but people like the season, though. They actually praise it pretty well, storyline-wise.
Disney's just stupid sometimes.
Yeah, they fucked it up, man. They dropped the ball with Power Rangers.
Oh, and another thing I have to mention is that there were advertisements for IDW comics in here, and Boom comics too.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah, not just one thing. Weird. And then that wraps up the comic, a little miniseries that I never thought I would read, and I didn't even know it existed. So, or any other things you want to say about the comic before we go to shelf, stacker, box?
Yeah, I think that's it.
No, I'm good.
Okay. And Rich, why don't you go first?
For me, yeah, it's 2 childhood things that I grew up with, but ultimately, I think all I could do with this is just stack it. Like, it was fine. It was okay. It didn't blow my mind. Yeah, was it better than Justice League combination? Yeah, it was better, but it wasn't anything that's like, I need to see this again. I need to read this again. It was a fun little ride for what it was. That's it. I don't really see myself really revisiting it much, but it was decent for what it was.
Okay. And Joe?
I agree with Rich. It is much better than the Justice League comic, and it does the one thing where you have kind of 3 comic variations where, you know, you have the Turtles and the Power Rangers, which focuses more on story heavy, and that's really good. Really good and really well written. You have this, which is just all action, which is never actually a bad thing unless you can do it wrong. And then you have the Justice League one, which was just awful because they didn't know what they were doing. But yet, it's not good enough though to go on the shelf. But yeah, if this ever got like a sequel, I'd pick this back up to reread it. So yeah, stack.
Okay. And I'll go last. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I really enjoyed this.
It's
Like,
really surprising.
I know. I was like, this is really good. I came into it with absolutely zero expectations and just really had a good time. I read this twice. I didn't want to put it down. It didn't feel as light as the Justice League book did either. Like, it actually felt like I was reading a comic. Like, I just had such a great time. And I'm not even a big Godzilla fan. I don't know what it was. It just really grabbed me. So it's going on the shelf, and I'm really glad to finally read it.
Well, maybe you're more of a kaiju fan than you thought. Go watch Pacific Rim ASAP. Go watch.
I've seen First Pacific Rim. That's a good movie. I never saw the second one, though.
You know what actually is good? Off topic, but the show on Netflix was actually pretty good. That the Pacific Rim like anime.
Oh, I didn't
Wow.
even know there was an anime.
Yeah, it was actually. I was actually pretty surprised at how good it was. I watched the whole thing through, so it's worth a watch.
Okay. Probably use another show to put on while I edit,
There you go. Worth it.
because I will be doing that soon. I mean, I'm not going to cover any more Godzilla stuff anytime soon. I can tell you that on this podcast. But you know, I'm a sucker for Power Rangers now. Slowly becoming. I'm finding.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you're on the fence on as to when to start the Boom comics. So I mean,
Yeah, you're making me want to jump into it more sooner than later. But I do want to read more. I read more TMNT. So, but we're getting there.
I am fine with waiting because apparently more Boom stuff is coming out.
Oh yeah, no, like, I'm just glad that those comics are doing so well, and that it's such a healthy thing for them.
Oh, it's okay. I think I don't know who owns Power Rangers now, but whoever decided that, like,
Hasbro.
probably Hasbro.
Hasbro does, yeah.
Whoever made that call to make the new season if they said it's the final season of Power Rangers, whoever made that call is going to regret it in like 2 years, and then we're probably going to have like a whole big revival again or something.
It won't be the final. There's no final until the money stops coming.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't foresee that being the end. It just somebody said it because it sells better when you have your final.
Yeah.
Is
And
that how they're marketing it? I had no idea.
yeah, they're very much marketing the new Power Rangers season as the final, like, this is the end of Power Rangers thing, which is weird because they establish a whole bunch of stuff and all kinds of other things, and I have no idea why. And it's because I also could have sworn it also might be a thing too with the reason why they're advertising it as a final, because there's a huge rumor we're getting another live action movie that's supposed to reboot the whole series, so there also might be that too.
You should just adapt Shattered Grid and call it a day.
Yeah. And make it an animation. I'd be fine if it was just like a regular
I'd be super down for that. You know what? I actually do remember them announcing some, at least I thought I did, some animated version of Power Rangers.
I don't know. I think they're waiting to see what they're going to do with the comics, because I know, like, we went back and forth in the chat about, like, their canon wise, they're making what is it? What's his name? The guy that plays the Green Ranger?
Tommy Oliver. I mean, Jason David Frank is real name.
Jason David Frank. They're making his daughter the new Green Ranger in the comics.
Oh, with the Pink Ranger authoring that one or whatnot. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, and So I think that we are getting like a soft reboot somehow. I wouldn't be surprised if we did, and that's what they're going to go with. Is we're just going to get Power Rangers in like a boom form, which is probably what they're. That way, I guess maybe people won't confuse it with the original. That's probably why it's going to be a reboot or whatever. But who knows? Especially because that new movie that he made hasn't come out yet either, and I'm really excited for that too. It was supposed to come out like November, and then they pushed it to like February, I think.
Okay, I'm glad they're doing more stuff. Oh, and the Power Rangers Turbo movie, it's only place you can rent it is Apple TV for some reason.
That's
probably
weird.
It's probably on YouTube.
It's not for free. I can rent it on YouTube. Yes.
Okay.
Do I want to pay for it? I don't. It's just weird that it's not even like.
Yes, I typed in Power Rangers Turbo movie. Underneath that is the hour and 40-minute movie. So for free.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah.
Better at YouTube than I am. I found it and it wanted me to pay for it. Oh, I see. Okay.
I'll just send you a link. So.
Do I want to watch this garbage?
And look, the picture for it is that weird wizard that Richie.
Oh boy.
That ugly guy, the like giant.
That looks like a gremlin. Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like a giant hamster in a robe.
Yeah, that's the cover art somebody used. I don't know. I'm curious because I never saw that movie as a kid, so I have absolutely no nostalgic for Power Rangers Turbo.
I love that movie as a kid.
So, but I don't know. Oh, yeah, that would work too. We'll see. But yeah, probably. I mean, because I do want to watch the new movie that came out, because that, not the Netflix one, but the one that was in theaters, that Power Rangers movie, the reboot that didn't go anywhere.
That reboot's great.
Which one?
Remember it, or what year it was? The Power Rangers movie where they rebooted.
The 2017 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, the one where they make Bryan. The one that make Bryan Cranston fucking Zordon is probably the best decision they made for that movie.
Oh, Elizabeth Banks as Rita was pretty damn good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was pretty good in there.
It was just, I remember I saw that movie and I really liked it. I'm like, this is a decent movie. And then it just did not do good. But yeah, no, I wouldn't mind watching that again, to be honest. So that's too bad we didn't get a sequel of that. So, God, I can't believe it was already 2017 that movie came out. Now we're in 2023. I don't know. So I don't know what the hell's coming next for us, but yeah, there'll be other stuff. I don't like to promise because then I have to put these in certain order. I try not to always, but yeah, I think that's everything that we need to say. So if you enjoyed this episode, over 550 episodes of Games My Mom Found. We do comics, movies. Type in Power Rangers. You will find other stuff at this point, or just actually type in MMPR because I don't know if I'm going to actually spell it all out every time. So type in both. See what comes up. We have let's go see it in the show notes. All the Power Ranger stuff that we've done will be in here. Mostly comics and then one movie. And we do just all sorts of stuff, whatever people convince me to. But go check out our giant catalog. If you want to support the show, we do a Patreon. For a little $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll. You'll see a link in the show notes to that. So definitely go check that out, please. Join our Discord. You see a link in the show notes to that, too. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fear. You can follow her on TikTok. You'll see a link to her link tree to all her stuff in the show notes. Also, check out A Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker, who is on this podcast. Been on this podcast quite often. Definitely go check him out and support his show. And check out Nomads of Fantasy. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube. We're on YouTube with audio only. And that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye now.
Yeah.
Godzilla.